Hello, friends. Welcome to today's thrilling summary, where a beautiful young woman discovers something that turns her life into a nightmare. So, what is the secret? Let's find out. The movie begins with the scene of a young girl kidnapped by a gang involved in human trafficking. Their goal is to sell her to powerful men to satisfy their sexual desires. After that, the story shifts to a young woman named Priya, who works as a journalist at a newspaper and has a deep passion for writing. While preparing an article to be published, she discovers that one of her colleagues has stolen her work and released it under his own name. She goes to the editor-in-chief to complain, but he tells her that her colleague didn't really steal it, claiming instead that he was given the sources Priya had gathered in order to rewrite them into a clearer article, since her writing style is too complicated and hard for people to understand. Priya becomes upset, explaining that she worked so hard to collect those sources and that he should be helping her, not giving away her effort to someone else. The editor gets irritated, refuses to listen, and ends up firing her from the job. That night, Priya goes out to celebrate her birthday with her boyfriend John, joined by her friend Malia and her boyfriend Darren. Priya tells them what happened at work and how she got fired. Darren tries to comfort her and then reveals that John has a surprise for her: a week-long trip to a cabin in the mountains, a house that belongs to Darren's work partner. John gets annoyed because Darren spoiled the surprise, but Priya is overjoyed and thanks John for trying so hard to make her happy. Later, Malia asks Priya to go with her to the restroom. Meanwhile, Darren apologizes to John for ruining the surprise and asks if he has proposed to Priya yet. John says he's waiting for the right moment and plans to do it during the trip. In the restroom, Malia talks to Priya, telling her that John loves her deeply and will soon propose, so she should say yes without hesitation. But Priya admits she's not sure what to do, because she's not ready for that step yet. The next morning, Priya wakes up at John's house, still thinking about their argument the night before regarding her job. She feels tense and unable to enjoy her time with John because her mind is consumed with thoughts of work. She starts looking for him around the house and sees him outside through the window with a surprise gift: a car for her birthday. Priya is shocked and tells him it's way too expensive, but John explains that he didn't buy it. He built it himself by putting together spare parts, since he works as a mechanic. They take the car and drive off together to the mountain cabin to spend their vacation. On the way, they stop at a gas station. Priya goes inside the store to buy a few things and accidentally bumps into a man named Reed, spilling her drink on her clothes. He politely apologizes and offers to pay for the drink as compensation. Priya accepts, then heads to the restroom to clean up. There, she encounters a strange-looking girl covered in signs of abuse and torture. Priya senses that the girl wants to tell her something but is unable to speak. Meanwhile, John waits outside at the station when a man from a gang shows up with some of his crew, asking questions about John's car. John tries to avoid trouble and tells them to back off, but they provoke him with insults. He loses his temper, hits one of them, and a fight breaks out. Priya rushes to help before the gang attacks him, but luckily, a police officer arrives just in time, threatening to arrest the gang if they cause more problems. The officer then asks John and Priya where they're headed, and they explain they're going to a mountain house for vacation. They quickly get into their car and leave. On the road, Priya notices one of the gang members following them on a motorcycle. He tries to force them to stop, but John cleverly slams on the brakes, causing the biker to crash. The man returns to his gang, where their leader scolds him for his reckless behavior that could draw unwanted attention. To Priya's shock, the gang leader turns out to be Reed, the same man who spilled the drink on her back at the store. At last, Priya and John arrive at the mountain cabin, trying to forget about what happened at the gas station and enjoy their time together. But later that night, they're surprised when Darren and Malia show up to spend the vacation with them. John gets upset at Darren for coming without telling him, especially since John had planned to propose to Priya during this private time. Darren apologizes, explaining that he just wanted to celebrate with him and be part of this important moment. John admits he feels unsure about Priya and needs to figure out the right time to decide whether he'll propose or not. After a long talk, they all eventually gather together and spend the evening as a group. Suddenly, they hear the sound of a cell phone coming from Priya's bag. She's shocked, because she knows her phone isn't inside. When she opens her bag, she finds a strange phone connected to an electronic box that's picking up satellite signals. Confused, Priya asks John how this phone ended up in her bag. Then she remembers the girl she saw in the restroom at the supermarket. She tells John she's sure the phone belongs to that girl, and that she slipped it into her bag on purpose, maybe to send her a message or warn her about something. Priya recalls how strange the girl looked, almost like she wanted to say something but couldn't. Determined, Priya decides to open the phone to see what's inside. It's locked with a password. She tries guessing it but fails, and after many attempts, she finally cracks it. Inside, she finds encrypted links and coordinates because the phone is tracking signals through satellites. When she opens the gallery, she's horrified to discover countless pictures of young girls, many of them showing clear signs of torture. Shocked, Priya realizes this phone belongs to a human trafficking ring. She insists to John that they need to call the police immediately. But Darren loses his cool and demands they don't call the cops. He argues that the house they're staying in belongs to his business partner, and if the news breaks out, it could ruin his career. Priya refuses to back down, warning that the gang might already know their location. Darren snaps, accusing Priya of wanting to ruin him out of spite, because he's bitter about Malia's past relationship with John. Priya is stunned, she never knew about this. Furious, she screams at Darren, blaming him for causing her to lose her friend, and storms out, declaring she never wants to see him again. Priya heads straight to the police station to report the phone. She's greeted again by the same police officer she had met earlier at the gas station. Meanwhile, Darren tries to patch things up with Malia, but she's had enough and breaks up with him. John takes the chance to explain everything to Priya about his past with Malia. He admits he dated her but never committed, and he hid the truth so Malia wouldn't lose her best friend. Priya believes him, but demands complete honesty from now on. Later, John goes to talk to Darren, trying to calm him down after his breakup. While he's away, Priya copies every contact and photo from the strange phone onto her own as a backup. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Priya answers, and it's the girl from the supermarket, the one who planted the phone in her bag. The girl claims it was a mistake and asks for the phone back. Priya doesn't buy it, and questions how she even knew where to find her. The girl dodges the questions, insisting instead that she saw everything inside the phone and knows it belongs to a human trafficking gang. Realizing she's exposed, the girl panics and runs away. Priya and John chase after her, only to find her with Reed, the ruthless leader of the gang. She tells him what happened. When Reed learns the phone wasn't recovered, he pulls out a gun and kills her on the spot, because that phone holds all the secrets of his operation. Reed then threatens Priya and John, demanding the phone or their lives. John negotiates, saying he'll hand it over if Reed promises not to hurt anyone. They all go back into the house, with Darren quietly grabbing a gun just in case. Priya begs John to give up the phone, but John refuses, warning that once they hand it over, the gang will kill them anyway. Darren suddenly pulls out his gun and threatens Priya, saying he'll kill John unless she gives him the phone. Reluctantly, Priya surrenders it. She and John slip out the back door to escape, but on the way, they spot Darren heading straight to the gang to turn the phone in. He drops Malia's bag on the ground before running toward Reed's men. But instead of protecting him, the gang kidnaps him. Darren tries to reason with Reed, begging him to release Malia, but Reed refuses, threatening to kill him since they opened the phone and saw everything. In a desperate attempt, Darren draws his gun, but the gang executes him on the spot. Priya watches in horror. She uses a wooden plank to pry open the back door, and she and John make a run for it. The gang spots them fleeing into the woods and gives chase, tracking them down every way they can. While hiding, one of Reed's men attacks John, stabbing him in the shoulder. Priya grabs whatever she can find and smashes it over the attacker's head, knocking him out cold. After that, Priya and John go searching for a place to hide, and by chance, they come across the house of an old man. They approach him, hoping to call the police. Priya uses the man's computer and sends all the files and photos she copied from the phone to the new newspaper she had started working for. Unfortunately, one of the gang members breaks into the house, kills the old man right in front of them, and shoots John in the stomach. Priya rushes to him at the last moment, and John manages to grab the rifle from the attacker and kill him. But John collapses to the ground from his injury, telling Priya he took the old man's car keys and begging her to take them and escape quickly. Before he can finish his words, he dies. Heartbroken, Priya takes the keys, finds the wedding ring John was planning to give her, kisses it, and leaves the house in tears before the gang arrives. She jumps into the car and tries to start it, but the vehicle won't run. As she hears the gang approaching, one of the members spots her and drags her back to Reed to have her executed. Luckily, the female sheriff arrives with a deputy officer to arrest the gang. But the shocking twist comes when the sheriff grabs Reed's gun and shoots her own deputy. She then yells at Reed to wipe the information off the phone because it's too dangerous. That's when Priya realizes the sheriff is actually working with the gang, helping them in their human trafficking operations. The gang then captures Priya and takes her with them. The sheriff calls the station to cover herself, claiming she was attacked by the gang and that they killed her deputy, removing any suspicion from her and buying the gang time to escape. Meanwhile, the gang brings Priya back to their headquarters, locking her inside the van used to transport kidnapped girls. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself surrounded by several young women, including her friend Malia, who tells her the gang kidnapped her when she left the house. Priya hears the gang's voices and secretly hides a nail in her hand while pretending to be asleep. Reed arrives to pull the girls out of the van. He tries to assault Priya, but she attacks him with the nail, then picks up a stone from the ground and strikes him to death. One of the gang members then grabs her, trying to strangle her, but Malia jumps in, fighting him off. Together, they manage to kill him, though Malia is heavily drugged and can barely move. Priya tells her she'll go call the police to come rescue them. Priya dashes out of the van and suddenly finds herself back at the same gas station she had visited with John the first time. She runs into the convenience store and begs the cashier girl to call the police quickly, saying she had been kidnapped by a human trafficking gang. Unfortunately, when the girl calls, the sheriff, who works with the gang, answers the phone. Realizing the danger, Priya grabs the girl's phone and calls her newspaper's editor-in-chief, explaining everything. He instructs her to stay put, promising to send help. She follows his advice and hides in the bathroom to clean herself up. Moments later, the sheriff arrives asking the cashier girl to step out, clearly planning to kill Priya without anyone noticing. Priya confronts the sheriff, asking her why she would help a gang and take part in human trafficking. The sheriff responds coldly, saying human trafficking is highly profitable and that most countries in the world are involved in it. She prepares to kill Priya for exposing their secrets, but realizes the store is covered in cameras. So, she handcuffs Priya, intending to take her elsewhere and finish the job. Suddenly, federal agents storm in, surrounding the place and arresting the sheriff. Priya's clever move of contacting her editor and exposing everything saved the day. The police then free all the kidnapped girls and dismantle the gang completely. Some time later, Priya returns to her job as a journalist. She writes a powerful article exposing the human trafficking network and sharing her harrowing experience. Her editor tells her such a story will make her a famous journalist, but warns that gangs will now target her, and she'll be living under constant threat. Priya agrees to publish it anyway, saying she just lived through one of the hardest experiences of her life, and she's not afraid to face another if it means telling the truth. The next day, Priya hears the news broadcast, where the anchor reports that more than 20 human trafficking gangs were taken down thanks to a brave journalist named Priya. And that's where the movie ends. If you enjoyed the film, don't forget to hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel.